Hello, Homestead. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence.
Hello, Homestead. It's Friday, February 22nd, and time for another episode of HHS In Depth. I'm Ellie Davis.
And I'm Carson Clymer. Welcome to another edition of the show.
On today's episode, with 7 canceled school days already occurring this semester, reporter Ashton Hackman brings you a story over Dr. Ginder's feelings on the effectiveness of e-learning days.
Reporter Derek Hockenmeyer fills you in on another successful year for Homestead students at last week's Scholastic Art Award ceremony.
We'll profile the after-school music listening club, Audio Aficionados, as reporter Easton Hensley gets you caught up on what goes down at the typical gathering of theirs.
And there will be an all-new weekend weather with Alex Peters.
We'll bring you all of those stories and much more, so stay tuned for today's episode of HHS In Depth. We begin today's show with a story over the progress of e-learning since being implemented 5 years ago. Reporter Ashton Hackman caught up with Dr. Ginder to get his thoughts on the current state of e-learning at Homestead.
5 years ago, Homestead High School implemented e-learning days to replace the traditional closed day due to weather. Principal Dr. Ginder says the difference between typical e-learning assignments now compared to then are night and day.
If you talk to our graduates, kids that were here 5 years ago, I think e-learning days have changed drastically. Our teachers have gotten better, our students have gotten better, the interface has gotten better. Some of you would remember products that we no longer use, and Canvas has made things much better.
The growing complaint among students and parents in Southwest Allen County schools is that the number of e-learning days over a short period of time is halting academic success. But Dr. Ginder doesn't think we've reached that level yet.
I think there's a point. I'm not sure where that is, and I think it's different today than it was 5 years ago. A lot of our students and people remember that we had a regular snow day, a historic snow day, after 2 or 3 E-days a few years ago. But we weren't very good at what we were doing back then, and things have really changed. So I think you kind of look at the point of the year, what we're doing, how many days have piled up. Those kinds of things all play into a decision, but I wouldn't want to say, hey, after X number of days, we're going to get rid of an E-day.
Another growing complaint from the student's perspective is that teachers are giving work that takes longer to do at home than it would have if they had been in school that day.
It's funny to listen to students complain, but then when asked about how they spend their day, our kids are very honest about the time spent with Netflix, their phone, talking to friends, doing things that have nothing to do with the e-learning, and they're learning a lot of self-discipline in the process. So yeah, we were really, really bad at creating some long things, but I think based on conversation, and we debrief with our students a lot, we're finding that almost all of you have 3 or 4 hours of work a day, some less, some more, but it also depends on what classes you're taking and depends on what that class is doing at this time. So having you do 50 minutes in a given class, if you think about our classes are 47 minutes long, add a little bit of homework to that, 50 minutes isn't very long.
The lessons teachers post on a given e-learning day are looked at by more than just students. To make sure teachers understand expectations set forth by administration, Homestead's principals are also critiquing our teachers' assignments.
On E-days, your administrators, myself, assistant principals, Mrs. Summers, Mr. Swers, Mr. Kent's, everybody, we're in our teachers' classrooms. We're looking at the things they're posting, coaching, talking about what could be improved, made different. And what we're finding is outstanding E-Day approaches. As you've learned, not everything has an assignment, not everything has a due date. Sometimes it's read and prepare for the next day. Sometimes it's formative in nature, and sometimes it's summative. You need to take this test or quiz.
Seeing how far the school has come in the last 5 years, Dr. Ginder can't wait to see what the future holds for e-learning at Homestead High School.
Honestly, I think you're going to see some classes that our teachers develop that are completely online. You're seeing that already across the country. You're seeing entire colleges move thousands of kids to online learning, and we're talking undergraduates, not just graduate work. But in the building, we have teachers that are doing online learning right now to get graduate degrees and so forth. It's coming. And I really believe in the next 5 years, you're going to see our teachers developing classes that students will be able to take and not be in the building.
Dr. Ginder stresses to students that e-learning is here to stay, and on those days, be sure to manage your time properly and to be in constant contact with your teachers when questions or technical issues arise. If you do that, e-learning days should go well for all students. Reporting for HHS In Depth, I'm Ashton Ackman.
Students, this is just a reminder that there will be a modified bell schedule next week. The schedule is posted on Canvas in your graduation class groups. It is also available on the Homestead website. All students are required to attend their classes at the posted times. Look over the calendar and make arrangements to be in attendance when you're required to be here.
Spartans, please put this in your calendar. We will have a regular school day with students and teachers in the building on Friday, March 15th. We will not have an e-learning flex day on March 15th.
In light of it being Just Because Week, the Network Club wants to remind you, in the words of Mother Teresa, that kind words are short and easy to speak, but their echoes are truly endless.
Are you interested in aviation as a hobby or a career? Would you like to learn more about flying? If so, go check out Homestead's newest club, Aviation Club. There is a meeting after school on Wednesday, February 27th in room 608, Senora Hoon's room. If you have any questions, you can contact Senora Hoon or Homestead Junior Ben Knight. Snacks will be provided.
Students, the moment so many of you have been waiting for. Dance Marathon is coming back and going to be bigger than ever. Interested in being a part of it all? Mrs. Brayman and Mrs. Klinker will be hosting a call-out meeting on Monday, February 25th after school in room 303.
Design Club is back in action. Design Club is a group dedicated to improving and sharing their graphic design skills with the community. They have new projects and activities to pursue, and they hope that all past members and any interested new members will join them for this semester's first Design Club meeting on Monday, February 25th after school in room 104 from 2:45 to 3:30. Snacks will be provided.
And now reporter Derek Hockemeyer brings you a story recapping Homestead's success at last week's Scholastic Art Awards ceremony.
Last Sunday, a select group of Homestead students who submitted their work to the Scholastic Art and Writing competition attended a ceremony to receive their awards. These awards include honorable mentions, silver, and gold keys.
I won several golds in poetry and my critical essays.
There are many different subcategories for both art and writing, including photography, film, novel writing, and poetry.
I submitted 2 pieces of film photography, and they both won gold keys. They are from my film portfolio, and they just depicted how I see my friends and what I know about them that other people don't.
I submitted several poems and several nonfiction or critical essay pieces.
Because the contest is held for all of northern Indiana and part of Ohio, there were plenty of unfamiliar faces.
So the ceremony was all of the kids that won gold, silver, or honorable mentions from the Northeast Indiana and Northwest Ohio area.
I guess the awards gave me the experience of having my work judged and awarded.
It was really interesting to see the people who won awards and what they did. It was really impressive that all of those pieces of art were done by other high school students.
If you want to be a part of this contest and get your work judged, submissions will open up next December. You can also speak to any art teacher for more information. For HHS In Depth, I'm Derek Hockemeyer.
Reminder to all students taking the ISEP exam next week. Be sure that you bring your power cord to school for testing. Homestead does not have extra power cords, and if your computer shuts down during testing, it could cause you to fail this important graduation exam.
Biomedical Science Club members, the meeting with Dr. Arata from Fort Wayne Orthopedics has been rescheduled to next Wednesday, February 27th from 2:45 to 3:30. Snacks and drinks will be provided. You will also be receiving information about special events they will have for their March and April meeting.
It's your move. Chess Club will meet next Tuesday, February 26th after school in room 608, Senora Hoon's room. Come for the snacks, stay for the fun.
Do you enjoy reading but want choices other than the assigned books in English class? Maybe more contemporary fiction and YA fiction? Go out to the call-out meeting for Homestead's Book Club, Monday, February 25th in room 117, starting after school until 3:30. They'll be discussing what the club will consist of, including snacks and book discussions, as well as voting for the first book they will be reading. All are welcome.
The Acoustic Music Club meets this and every Friday in room 117 from 2:45 until 3:30 p.m. The club is a welcoming place for guitarists and other musicians to practice and learn from each other. Instruments can be stored in room 117 at the beginning of the day.
If you like learning about the historical significance of music in society, then this story's for you. Reporter Ethan Hensley covers the after-school music listening club, Audio Aficionados.
Audio Aficionados has been a long-running year-round club here at Homestead with dedicated students coming to listen and talk about music. Mr. Dunn, the sponsor of the club, has been passionate about music ever since he was a student here at Homestead.
When I was a student at Homestead, I knew a lot of students weren't really listening to music that was influential. It was mostly all about what's currently on the radio or currently on Spotify for nowadays. And I always wanted to use that as maybe a stepping stone to become a teacher when I was younger. So I developed this after-school class because I've always thought music history is very important and interesting.
The club provides a calm and relaxed environment for students, which creates a great opportunity to talk about different views of music.
It's like a fun thing to do after school is just come in, sit down, listen to an album, and talk with my friends and Mr. Dunn about the album as we're listening to it. My favorite album that I've listened to this year in Audio Aficionados has been Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd. I really liked it because we did this thing where we turned off the lights and it made like this really dark and cool atmosphere that we listened to it with.
One part I always liked in a special amount was how you'll always find someone who has different opinions from you, sometimes more intense than the others. We've had albums that were like very split amongst each others. Some people gave it 5s and 4s, and one time someone gave it a 10.
I think that people should join because you get to listen to something new, and I would bet money that most of the time you haven't heard the songs that we've listened to. You know, every once in a while you may have heard like an individual song off of an album, but it's like a different and unique experience every week. No two albums are usually the same.
For more information, come to Audio Aficionados every Tuesday after school in room 600B. Reporting for HHS In Depth, I'm Easton Hensley.
Boys golf season is coming up soon, and anyone interested in trying out for the team needs to attend a brief call-out meeting on Monday, February 25th at 3:10 in room 420. Coach Mazak will lead the discussion of eligibility requirements and expectations. Start turning in your IHSAA medical forms to the athletic office as soon as possible to avoid issues.
Attention next year's football players. There will be an informational spring meeting for you and a parent on Thursday, February 28th at 6 p.m. in the cafeteria.
Congratulations to the following dance team members who were named state champions this past week in an ensemble competition. Aubrey Couch and Paige Brandstetter in the duet division, and Hamza Khan, Shannon Asiala, and Sophie Calacay in the small ensemble division. Best wishes to both the JV and varsity teams as they compete this weekend in Orlando, Florida at Nationals.
A congratulations goes out to our boys and girls Homestead bowling teams. The boys finished third at state and were led by Elijah Slavin, Jacob Mormon, and Ethan Clark. The girls finished the year strong and were led by Bailey Pion and Kimberly Gearhart. If any Homestead student is interested in bowling, please email Elijah Slavin at his school email.
And now it's time for the weekend weather forecast. Here's an all-new 2.5 Weatherman with Alex Peters.
Hey there, Homestead. I'm Alex Peters. And I'm Alex Peters. This week's weather wasn't too bad, but how's next week looking? Let's find out. But first, make sure to follow our Instagram at HHS Weatherboys for more updated and accurate forecasts, as well as cancelometer percentages. With that out of the way, let's get right into the forecast. Tonight's going to be cloudy with a high of 49 and a low of 36. Saturday is looking rainy with a high of 43 and a low of 41. Finally, Sunday is going to be rainy in the morning but clear later in the day with a nice warm high of 68 but a cooler low of only 40. Taking a look at the cancelometer, all the days are going to be less than 10%. While it will be rainy, none of the days will be going below freezing. Well, that's all for this week, Homestead. Your quote of the week comes from nobody because I can't think of one. I'm Alex Peters. And I'm Alex Peters. See you next week, Homestead.
Well, that wraps up this edition of HHS In Depth. I'm Ellie Davis.
And I'm Carson Clymer. Thank you for watching today.
Today we leave you with a song exclusive to our radio station, The Point 91 FM.
Have a great weekend, and we'll see you right back here next week.